Indiana Fever fans were chanting, "Sophie, Sophie."
In a moment that has passed, completely going viral. It wasn't only a message that Sophie Cunningham sent to JCS Sheldon. She did more than simply write to the Connecticut Sun. She addressed the WNBA as a whole. Be careful around Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is going to make teams reconsider their strategy. Fans are furious that Caitlin Clark was attacked on the court with no meaningful repercussions from the referees, but they have finally received what they have been demanding. An enforcer, a guardian, or someone who doesn't hesitate to intervene and deliver a message. A star emerged from the ashes of an officiating skip fire. Sophie did more than simply stand up for her teammate in one instance. She ignited the spark that has the power to completely alter the Fever season's mood. And while it may seem premature to say this, Sophie recently rose to prominence in the sports industry.
Sheldon going coast to coast, and here's we got another.
The effects are already being felt. After that game, Sophie's name goes viral within 48 hours. The videos have gone viral. Since this is no longer Fever versus League, the atmosphere has altered and the fans are energized. Caitlin and the world are at odds. Sophie simply ended up being her uncontested bodyguard. The crazy part comes next. Sophie may make millions in just 1 minute. No hyperbole. The indicators are already there. Let's begin. First, though, like this video. If you were grateful that Sophie stepped up, please leave a remark. For additional WNBA updates, subscribe. When they permit it to occur, which has been the case throughout the season. During the entire season, this game is not the only one. It has persisted throughout the season. This is what occurs, isn't it? This is the result. I take it that you have competitive ladies that are the finest in their field. Additionally, they will compete and support their teammates if you let them play physically and let these instances occur. Unquestionably, the Fever's matchup with the Suns set a new WNBA low. There have always been complaints regarding the officiating. Recently, Kelsey Plum broke down in tears as she described how she prays for things to improve. However, the incident against the Sun made it quite evident that Caitlin Clark's season is open, and the referees will not take any action.
No, like, whoa, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe people are doing this. Two Caitlin Clark teammates weren't jumping in there. They bring in Sophie Cunningham. I had no idea. Sophie Cunningham was a black belt at the age of 6.
Yeah. Yep.
Boom!
JCS Sheldon targeted the league's public face. Caitlin was body-checked to the ground by Marina Mabrey amid the ensuing mayhem. Kennedy Carter and Dane Carrington appeared to have cloned themselves and returned to the game as a tag team. And it was very evident from the other perspectives of the play. In actuality, it was far more heinous than it appeared.
When they allow that stuff to happen, and it's been happening all season long. All season long. It's not just this game, it's been happening all season long. This is what happens, right? This is what happens. You've got competitive women who are the best in the world at what they do, right? And when you allow them to play physical, and you allow these things to happen, they're going to compete. And they're going to have...
JC's swipe wasn't merely thoughtless. It was the target. Furthermore, Marina didn't merely bump into Caitlin. She launched her into the air. In the NBA, such behavior would be immediately reported. However, it seems to be just another Tuesday in the W. I'll also admit that it was a little underwhelming. There wasn't much resistance from the Fever on the court, particularly from Stephanie White, despite the fact that Lexi occasionally got in JC's face. She certainly made amends during the press conference, but at the time, fans were pleading with her to go all Bobby Knight and throw a chair, which, let's face it, would have been a fantastic sight considering that Knight was Indiana's coach. And please stop before someone begins to tell the story of Caitlin's softness.
Watch when Caitlin Clark is trying to create some space. It looked like she just got hit in the eye there.
Ooh, and Marina Mabrey, I missed that one.
This would never happen to LeBron or Steph without repercussions. That Marina wasn't thrown for the body check startled the commentators. The worst part is still to come. Right now, Caitlin Clark is far more significant to the WNBA than LeBron or Steph are to the NBA. Not a hot take. That's simply the truth. When Caitlin missed 5 games, we witnessed what transpired.
This angle is wild, folks. There's the eye gouge. Watch Mabrey. Boom! I mean, come.
Not only did ratings decline, they plummeted. Over 50% fewer Fever games were played. Interest fell across the league. One would imagine that a league-wide directive would exist. Apply the bubble wrap technique to Caitlyn. Real protection. Star calls. Everything. This was more than simply a terrible miscall. Then, the way the league's most valued superstar was treated was ridiculous. A huge setback for the WNBA. Everyone is now criticizing the officials, spectators, commentators, and even past athletes. Missed calls aren't the only problem. Disrespect on a league-wide scale is the issue.
Made me think if this was LeBron in the NBA, think this was Steph Curry in the NBA, do you really think that the NBA would be allowing certain players in the NBA to go after LeBron the way that Caitlyn was chucked to the ground? Do you think if another player came up, blindsided LeBron, chucked him to the ground after he had just been poked in the eye, that the NBA would be like, oh yeah, technicals, nobody's ejected, just a common technical foul? That would never.
In any case, something was still lacking even though the Fever were leading by a wide margin and winning easily, and Caitlyn had already provided the night's high point with that incredible three-pointer and icy trash talk to the Suns bench. It didn't seem complete. It was not comfortable. The message hadn't been sent, but there was a sense of emptiness and unresolved issues, as if the game was coming to an end. Sophie then took over.
Even as good as that rating was, Caitlin Clark's good for about 1 million.
After giving JC Sheldon a hard foul in the middle of the game, Sophie quickly put her Taekwondo knowledge to good use. It was therapeutic. Fans of the WNBA, the Fever, Caitlin Clark, and everyone else who has been angry over Clark's treatment finally received the pushback they had been demanding. But it was more than a single play. It was more than just JCS Sheldon. After weeks of cheap shots, missed calls, and rudeness, Sophie seemed to be retaliating. She seemed to be speaking for all the fans who have witnessed the referees turn a blind eye. This was more than just a foul. It was retaliation.
And I mean, when I tell you social media is setting the WNBA on fire right now, not in a good way, that's the understatement.
This is when things start to become extremely interesting and explains why there is much more to this than just one serious infraction. For the league, what transpired against the Sun felt like a watershed moment. Indeed, it's possible that the WNBA will examine its officiating problems in detail and resolve them. Perhaps, the league's biggest star was given a body check after a full-on face swipe, but the absence of repercussions for this was excessive.
That's a flagrant foul. It's a hard foul.
That game has two main outcomes, both of which are enormous. Fans of Caitlin Clark, who were already irritated, are on the one hand, as they genuinely filled venues and saw their viewership soar. They have been disparaged by the media for more than a year, told they weren't true basketball fans, and even called them outright deplorable names. And that annoyance has now evolved into indignation after witnessing Caitlyn get rat across her face and have her body checked to the ground with no repercussions. There comes a point when Caitlin Clark's supporters feel the league doesn't want her to succeed. At that moment, their support shifts. They begin backing both Clark and the idea that without her, the league would falter. Why stay loyal if she isn't defended, supported, or even acknowledged for her impact? It's a damaging cycle that isolates the league's brightest star, divides fans, and threatens long-term growth. Clark haters were all right when Sophie Cunningham was thrown hard on the ground during a preseason game against the Mystics. They celebrated the fact that Kiki Fenn, the tackler, was defended. More of it was even being encouraged by some of the most vocal voices on the internet. It feels like the league and some fans can't handle Caitlin Clark leading the spotlight. And it's not just her. Anyone who supports or plays with her gets targeted. After the Sky game, even Fever players were criticized for not reacting how people wanted. It's more than sports now. Being linked to Caitlyn makes you a target. It's Clark and her team versus everyone else. And now that everything is building, you have the ideal storm for Sophie Cunningham's impending event. She took on a role that fans had been yearning for because she did more than simply stand up for Caitlyn. Her willingness to speak up, send a message, and put the league on notice made her the enforcer. And she's already becoming a star because of that moment, that outburst, that viral video, and that intensity. Not just with Fever supporters in Indiana, but with sports fans everywhere. Because everything changed in 48 hours. Sophie went viral for standing up for Caitlin Clark during a chaotic game. In just 48 hours, she gained 600k TikTok followers. Fans call her the WS bodyguard. Sponsors and agents are taking notice, and this is just the start. Within hours, her jersey was sold out. A week ago, fans had no idea who she was, but now they were completely enamored, as well as the petition to have her expelled from the league. Sophie's answer was ideal. Fans vote with attention and money, and Sophie Cunningham just became a Caitlin Clark favorite. While some say Clark fans only care about her, the truth is they support her team and anyone who stands with her. Sophie did more than that. She led, took a foul, and sent a message. Now she's being rewarded with massive fan support. This isn't a short-time moment. Just look at Kate Martin. She outsold the MVP in jerseys simply for being Clark's college teammate. Now Sophie stepped up as her enforcer. Imagine what's next. Sophie already had star power. She was a great TV commentator with the Suns and knows how to connect with fans and media naturally. But she's more than charm. She's a baller. On the court, she's made smart plays, hit big shots, and shown she can be the veteran leader the Fever need, whether it's a tough game or a media storm. Many already called Sophie Cunningham the Fever's most underrated pickup. She brings leadership, spacing, and grit, exactly what Caitlin Clark and the Fever need to rise. And now, that prediction is coming true. In a league full of drama and loyalty, Clark's fans rally behind anyone who defends her. Sophie stepped up, loud and clear, and now she's about to reap the rewards.